So we have already discussed mindfulness as the non-forgetful awareness. Huh? Awareness that never forgets the object, never abandons the object. It's never distracted from the object, always fixed on the object. Mm. And we have also discussed mindfulness as the pure wholesome awareness, which comes with uh, the qualities of a wholesome mind, such as softness, peacefulness, detachment, clarity. Okay? Mm. But in order to have a clearer understanding of the nature of mindfulness, so we need to look at the explanation of its characteristics, its function, its manifestation, and proximate cause, as given in the commentary. So today we shall turn our attention to discuss this. Firstly, the characteristic of mindfulness. So, what does it mean, characteristic? Characteristic means the distinct or unique nature of mindfulness. Okay? So, yeah, in the Buddha's teaching, it talks about various kinds of nature. Nature means Dhamma. And so, um, various types of mental as well as physical nature, um, nama Dhamma, mental nature, rupa Dhamma, material nature. Okay? So, material nature, for example, the four elements, earth element, wind, fire, water element. Mhm. Then the mental nature, for example, consciousness, perception, mindfulness, mm, and application of mind, vitaka, vichara, sustaining of mind, uh, what else? Manasikara, attention. All these are mental nature. Okay? So, so these are all dhammas. They are individual dhammas. Mm. So, and each of these dhamma, each of these nature has a characteristic which is unique to it, not shared by any other dhamma. So, for example, the uh, earth element, Patavi Dhatu, has a characteristic of hardness. Okay? So this nature of hardness, that is the nature of the earth element itself. Okay? And this nature is unique only to the earth element. It's not shared by any other dhammas. So for example, let's say the fire element, Tejo Dhatu. Fire element does not share in this nature of hardness. Okay? So the nature of fire elements is heat, right? So and that nature is unique only to the fire element. So each of them has their own unique characteristic. Right? The consciousness has the nature of knowing. uh, mm. So, so each of them has their own unique characteristic. Right? So when we say characteristic of mindfulness, it means the unique characteristic of mindfulness. Okay? What is the nature that sets it apart from the other mental physical nature? Okay? Which means that when we experience this characteristic, we know that this is mindfulness. and because only mindfulness has this characteristic. Mm. 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 So the characteristic of mindfulness is given as pilapana, lakana. It means the characteristic of not floating and not drifting. Mm. Yeah. So this is the unique nature of mindfulness, not floating, not drifting. Okay? So, but what does it mean? Okay? So to understand this characteristic of not floating, uh, first we have to understand the opposite, which is to float. Okay? So when we say something floats, what does it mean? So, for example, you take a ball, okay, and then you throw it into the lake. So what happened to the ball? It just float on the surface of the lake. Okay. So when it's just floating about there, it's not securely anchored to anything. Okay, it's not well established anywhere. Okay. So because of this, uh, it can be easily swept away. Yeah? When a wave comes, it can be easily swept away. When the wind blows, it can be easily blown away. Okay. Mm. So similarly, a mind without mindfulness also floats about superficially on the surface of the object. Okay? Whenever you experience an object without mindfulness, the mind simply just floats superficially on the surface of the object, which means that it is not securely anchored onto the object, not firmly established on the object. Okay? Mm. So when this is the case, so the mind weakly established, so the defilements that arise will easily overcome the mind, easily sweep it away. Okay? Mm. So not being securely anchored on the mind, not being firmly established uh, on the object, the mind will soon drift away from the object and forget the object. Mm. So the nature of mindfulness is just the opposite. Okay? It does not float uh, about superficially. It does not drift away from the object. So the characteristic of mindfulness is not floating. Okay? So not floating means sinking. Okay? So what does it mean? So that means like instead of a ball, you take a heavy rock and then you throw it into the lake. What happened? The rock will immediately sink right to the bottom of the lake. Okay? And there it will remain established firmly. Okay? So no wind or wave can dislodge it from its position. Okay? So similarly, mindfulness, when it's present in experiencing the object, mindfulness will cause the mind to immediately sink into the object, okay? And sink into the object completely. Okay? This means that the mind will be securely anchored on the object, firmly established on the object. Therefore, it cannot be easily swept away or dislodged from the object. Right? It does not drift away from the object or forget the object. Right? Mm. Yeah. So nature of not floating really means uh, nature of establishing firmly. Okay? Mm. So, so mindfulness firmly establishes the mind on the object, uh, so that it does not get the object. This is its nature. Mm. Mm. Yeah. So remember when we were discussing the meaning of satipatthana? So we said upatthana means firmly establish. Mm. So satipatthana means mindfulness that is firmly established. So that establishing, that is the nature, the characteristic of mindfulness. Okay? Mm. In fact, in some commentaries, the characteristic of mindfulness is given instead of apilapana, not floating, is given as patana lakana, the characteristic of firmly establishing. Okay? So that is the nature of mindfulness. Okay? So whenever it is present in experiencing an object, mindfulness will cause the mind to be firmly established on the object. Okay? The characteristic of not floating can also be understood as meaning non-superficiality. Okay? Mm. So this is actually the explanation from the late most venerable Syada U Pandita. So he explained apilapana lakana as characteristic of non-superficiality. Okay? This means that uh, mindfulness it does not, when it's present in the mind, okay? It does not observe the object superficially on the surface. So rather, I observe the object deeply, okay? As if the whole mind is sinking into the object, immersing into the object completely, experiencing and exploring the object thoroughly. Okay? Mm. And so whenever mindfulness is present, it causes the mind, the whole mind, to be fully immersed into the experience of the object. So experiencing it deeply. Okay? Mm. Yeah. So therefore, we can understand mindfulness also as a deep, non-superficial awareness, awareness that takes a deep, thorough, and complete look at the object. Mm. Mm. And next, we come to the function, function of mindfulness. So function means something that it carries out, something that it accomplishes. Okay? So what is it that mindfulness do? What does it accomplish? And that is the function of mindfulness. So, so the function is explained as samosa rasa. That means the function of non-forgetfulness. Mm. So, so mindfulness has this function of non-forgetfulness, uh, which means that uh, it does not allow the mind to forget the object. Okay? Mm. So this actually is related to its characteristic of establishing firmly. Okay? So because mindfulness establishes the mind firmly on the object. So you always keep the object firmly in mind. So you never drift away from the object, never abandon the object. So therefore, the mind cannot forget the object. Okay? So mindfulness causes the mind not to forget the object. So he has this function of non-forgetfulness. Okay, so we always keep the object inside. Yeah? never letting the object out of sight, out of the mind. Okay? Mm. So this is like when a parents take their small child outside of the house, maybe to take a walk in the park and so on. Okay? Mm. So nowadays, we live in a very dangerous world. You take a children outside, yeah? So you have to keep close watch over the children. So the parents will always keep an eye on the children, never let the children out of their sight. Because the moment they're not mindful, you let the children out of sight. Then there are these people who may kidnap the children and then you never see them again. So they always keep them in sight, never let them out of sight. That is uh, like the function of mindfulness, never forgetting the object, never abandon the object, never let the object out of sight. Okay. Mm. So whenever this mindfulness is present in the mind, performing this function of non-forgetfulness, and the whole attention of the mind is kept uh, firmly and completely just on the object. Yeah, you never forget the object, never abandon it. So this function of non-forgetfulness, uh, it allows the mind to remain fixed on the object of attention, and not be distracted away from it. Yeah? Mm. So, and which is why when this mindfulness is developed, uh, it leads to also to the development of samadhi. Okay? Mm. So continuous mindfulness, continuous mindful noting helps to develop samadhi because of the when mindfulness occurs continuously, moment to moment. eh, Every moment it exercises this function of non-forgetfulness. It holds the mind on the object and never let the object out of sight. Okay. So when this occur moment to moment to moment, it leads over time to the mind uh, becoming completely fixed on the object, okay? Which means samadhi develops. Mm, 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 mm. So when awareness has this quality of non-forgetfulness, so is able to observe each object that arises continuously from beginning to the end without being distracted from the object. Mm, mm. So, and not only that, mm, so not only can it follow each object from beginning to the end. Okay? So, when mindfulness is exercising this function of non-forgetfulness, it also means that the mind will always remember to note. Okay? It never miss a single noting, never miss a single object. Every single object that arises moment to moment to moment, always remember to note. Okay? You never abandon the work of noting. Okay? Mm. So, but as we said, when mindfulness is weak, so that means it's not able to carry out this function of non-forgetfulness. Therefore, you find that the mind always forget to note. Okay, or you note a few times and then it wanders away. You bring it back, you note a few times, then it wanders away again. Okay? So when mindfulness is weak, it's always like this because they always forget. The function of non-forgetfulness is weak. Mm. Mm. So as we mentioned the last time, so in the beginning, you need to use the method of labeling, uh, even as you're noting. the label, the experience you're noting, yeah, in order to help remind, uh, mindfulness to keep noting continuously. Yeah. So it's like helping the mindfulness to remember when it's still weak. Okay. Mm. So like giving it a walking stick. Mm. So, mm, mm. But after some time, when you put effort, develop it continuously. After some time, mindfulness develop, it becomes strong. Once it's strong, then it's able to carry out its function of non-forgetfulness. Then it will not forget to know. Yeah, it will not keep wandering away again and again. Okay? So it will stick to the objects, one object after another, after another. It cannot continuously. Mm. So, mm, so once this happen, uh, then then you can actually drop the labeling, okay, and just continue to note each object that arises without labeling. Okay. And often this is better, because mm, uh, y- you see, you talk in terms of the thought processes. Okay? So if you are noting with labeling, there are actually two thought processes that are present, chitta viti processes. So, so the first is the thought process of noting. Okay, so you note the object with mindfulness. Okay, so there's a direct experience of the object. Okay, but following this first thought process, there's another thought process that arises, that mm, give a label, to the experience that you just noted. Okay, mm. That is the thought process of labeling. Okay, mm. And while the first thought process of noting is a pure experience of reality, uh, the second thought process of labeling uh, involves concept. uh, uh, so you need to come up with a name for object that you just experienced, a label. Yeah, this is nama panyati, concept of name. Mm, So, so every time you note with labeling, it involves this extra uh, thought process to give a name uh, to the uh, experience that they are noted, to the object that they are noted. Okay? So it involves some concept. Okay? So in the beginning, this is okay because in the beginning your mindfulness is still weak. This is actually helpful. uh, it keeps the mind on track with the object. Okay? But once the mindfulness has developed and is able to note the object continuously, uh, uh, then uh, it's better to let go of the labeling, so that the mind can then continuously just experience the object directly, without any concept coming in between. Okay? So by allowing the mind to experience the object in this way directly and continuously, then the nature of the object will become clearer and clearer. Mm. Mm. And often the yogis will also find that uh, uh, once the mindfulness has sufficiently developed, it is able to note continuously. Often they find that the labeling gets in the way of experiencing the object clearly. Okay. Mm. And so in this case, then it's better to just let go of the labeling. Okay? And then just continue uh, to let mindfulness does do its work, continuously experience the object clearly moment to moment to moment, without any concept. and then the nature of the object will become clearer and clearer. Mm, mm, mm. But of course, if later on you find that the mind starts to wander a lot again, because mindfulness may not be always consistent. Mm, So at some point you find that it's consistent, it keeps noting continuously. After some time, you may lose the continuity and then you find the wandering mind returns again. So you find the wandering mind returns again, then again bring back the labeling, okay, to help the mindfulness develop again. Okay? Mm. Mhm. Another way to describe this non-forgetful awareness is complete presence of mind. Okay? Mm. Yeah. So when I say mindfulness never forgets, that means it's always present with object. Okay? Mm. So non-forgetfulness means the mind is completely present with each object that arises. It is completely always with the object in each moment. Okay? There's not a single moment when the mind is not present with the object. Okay? So it's complete presence of mind. So whenever mindfulness arises in your mind, you can feel it for yourself. That you're always here, always present with whatever is experience is present right now. Your mind is never anywhere else, not in the past, not in the future, not thinking about something other than what is present right now. Okay? It's always present with the experience right now. Okay? Mm, yeah. So if you develop uh, this kind of awareness continuously with precise noting, and you find that the sharpness of clarity of mind will also develop. Okay? So it's like sharpening a knife. Okay? So when you sharpen a knife, what you do, you bring the knife again and again onto the, you rub it again and again onto the whetstone. uh, so, so you have to rub it again and again, but not simply rub. Rub at a, you have to place the knife at a precise angle to the stone, uh, and you rub it, then it will be sharp. uh. So you simply just rub it, you make the knife even more blunt. Okay? So, and then you have to sharpen it again and again, moment to moment. You have to keep rubbing precisely on the stone. After some time, the knife becomes sharp. Right? You can chew things very easily. So, similarly, if you develop this non-forgetful awareness, so you apply it to note again and again and again. So it's able to hold the mind continuously on the object without forgetting. Okay, and then every time you note with precision, precisely on the object that you are noting. Yes, again and again you aim precisely, and again you note precise. After a while, just like the knife, your mind also becomes sharp, become clear, and able to penetrate into the nature of each object noted clearly and deeply. Mm. So this quality of non-forgetful awareness, complete presence of mind, also has its benefits for your daily life. That means outside of a retreat. Right? So, so when you have this complete presence of mind and mindfulness in your everyday life, you find that you will be able to attend to whatever task that you are doing with more focus, okay? And not become distracted easily from the task or abandon the task halfway. Mm. So, for example, when you're reading a book, let's say you're reading a chapter from the book, okay? Then if you have this mindfulness, you'll be able to focus on reading the chapter continuously, without being distracted away. Your whole attention, your whole mind will be into the reading. You will be able to take in uh, each word, each sentence, each paragraph, continuously stay focused on it. Right? Take in the meaning of each word that you read, each sentence, each paragraph. Okay? Mm. Then you get the meaning of the content of the chapter clearly also. Okay? Then you'll be able to read continuously through the chapter without being distracted. Right? So you read continuously, then you don't get distracted. You read halfway, go and check your phone. Read halfway, and go and browse social media, and so on. So you don't abandon the task halfway. You're able to attend to it with focus continuously until it is done. Right? Mm. Mm. And this complete presence of mind can also save life. For example, when you're driving, yeah, you d- you must have complete presence of mind to what you're doing. So you're driving, you must be completely focused on it. So you have this mindfulness. Your mind is completely present to the task at hand. You're focused uh, on uh, the road condition around you. Yeah, focus on what the cars in front of you, beside you, at the back of you. So you're completely focused on this task. You're not distracted away. Uh, so because if you are distracted away, you drive halfway, then you look at the advertisement sign at the side of the road, and you forgot about the driving. You go and read. Accident can happen. Okay? So this complete presence of mind can keep you safe. Uh, we stop here today.
Sadu, sadu, sadu. Namaskar.